Many of us have heard of the golden years. And so the golden years typically refer to those years where individuals retire, they're getting a little bit older, maybe they're over 65, 70. And you might have heard this term. I've heard it a lot. I heard it from my in-laws. They would say to me, the golden years aren't so golden. Well, what if we could change that perception? Because I think there's still a perception out there that frailty, broken bones, disease, all of this comes with aging and it's just to be expected. And I'd love to make the golden years truly golden for myself and to help others as well. My guest feels absolutely the same. Today I have with me Ron Beckenfeld, Super-Ager health expert and president of Superior Source. Ron began distributing natural dietary products out of the trunk of his car at Gold's Gym 4 decades ago. Ron's own pursuit of health and personal success in weight training were the inspiration that really drove him to begin distributing products for small manufacturers, later going into buying in bulk and eventually creating his innovative Superior Source brand. In 1998, his father had Parkinson's and a heart condition, and it was difficult for him to swallow pills. And this was really the catalyst that led to the creation of Superior Source and the MicroLingual tablets, which dissolve under the tongue. Ron is 80 years old and very vibrant and an advocate for fitness, health, and self-care for everyone. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be on the show with you because you're really putting out a great message. You're not washed up after 50 if you do the right things. And you know the program. And you're just excellent.
Oh, yes. Age brings its challenges. We were talking before I hit record about, we have to be mindful of our joints, maybe some more recovery time, but it doesn't mean that we stop, we give up on our health and just expect to be frail and old.
I agree. Another way of looking at it, the way you take care of yourself, you go buy a new car, whatever it is. You got to at least change the oil and do some maintenance. If you don't do nothing, by the time it hits 50,000 miles, things are going to go wrong. You kind of relate that to the human body. You can get away with it for a while, maybe. I think 40 is a turning point where you got to step on it a little bit and step up. And believe it or not, you can improve at any age, 70, 80, whatever. It's never too late.
Oh, I agree. You're never too old. It's never too late. And they've done a lot of research on this too, where they've taken individuals that are in their 70s, even 80s, and introduced them to strength training, for example, and found that there's been cognitive benefits from the strength training, from putting on that muscle. It is just never too late. So Ron, you go all the way back to the Gold's Gym days. What was it like back then?
It was a very small gym. And it was, believe it or not, it was only about 100 or so members, no females. And if you believe it, the membership was $34 a year. And then I was there before Arnold showed up and Frank Zane, and because I grew up in Southern California, those guys were all from out of state. We had a nice bunch of guys, we'd hang around and everybody really knew everybody. It was very nice. It's still that way now. When you go into the gym, the right type of gym, where everybody's like-minded and are, really trying to take care of themselves. What I don't like to see is those cell phones all the time. The people are picking away at those things. You just can't go wrong if you put quality time into yourself. And I mean, with women especially, they have their care, their givers, their carers, their mothers, or taking care of the kids. I just can convince them to take a little time for themselves, with a minimum of 20 minutes, 40 minutes of some form of exercise they enjoy. I mean, obviously resistance training is the best, coupled with some stretching, yoga, if you like Pilates, swimming, something you got to do on a very consistent. Walking is good, but you got to do something on a very consistent basis and give yourself that time to take care of yourself. As far as eating goes, you can eat all you want if it's fresh food that will serve you well. Try to stay away from some of the packaged goods. You can have rice. You can have baked potato. You can have pasta. And I believe in a fundamental, as you eat, protein is the basic and your fresh food behind it. Like this morning, I had a little bit of potato. I had 6 egg whites with some fruit. Boom. And I'm
Right.
talking maybe 350 calories. I just finished a protein drink. It was 130 calories. I might have another 130. I have a nice lunch. I eat a lot of this uh, Mediterranean type food, hummus, baba ganoush, very low calorie, very healthy. A pound of greens, any kind of greens, is only 100 calories. Little tips: watch the salad dressings; they can really kill you on those. The packaged goods, learn how to read labels, other ingredients, serving size. Sugar is the worst. If it's naturally occurring, it's not a problem. Added sugar. If you do take a protein powder, if you like pea, whey, there's a million of them on the market. Try to get one without the artificial sweeteners. Stay away as much as you can. I'm not a big meat eater, but I think you're better off with a piece of grass-fed meat than a cupcake.
Mhm. Agreed.
Chicken,
100%.
fish. Uh, Another thing for women to keep up your bone mass, I think a good collagen supplement, which we make, and it's called Beauty Collagen. I'll show a picture of it. It's excellent. You want to hold your bone mass as you get older. It's very important.
Oh, definitely. And the collagen, I mean, we lose the elasticity in our skin.
We put a
That's
little hyaluronic acid, a little biotin. The truth is, I used to cut my fingernails maybe every few months. I take this, a scoop of it, and I have to cut my fingernails every week. And it just amazes me. To go into our products maybe a little bit, we put out, you can see right here, it's this MicroLingual. This right here is a B12. I mean, it's extremely small. I mean,
so now that is going like you can just put it in your mouth or under your tongue.
whatever. If you maybe some of these women have had bariatric surgery, this is a great deal. It has no anything to irritate your stomach after that. It's just the active ingredient. You put a little stevia and a little lactose to hold it together. These are full potencies. So if you look at other ingredients, you're not going to see the laundry list of unnecessary nutrients and chemicals they use in tablets. They have to use them to manufacture them.
Now you started selling supplements out of your vehicle. How did that come about? I think of that now, and I think of my gym that I go to, and if somebody did that, it's such different times where they'd probably get into some kind of trouble for even setting up in their car. How did that come about?
Joe Gold knew about it. They used to tease the hell out of me. They used to tease me about it. I was, coming around. I not so much the guys in at the gym. More, I'd go to health food stores are just starting to come on track. Some gyms, and I would go around, and I had about 100 items, and they were just conventional. I started in 1960, I think 9. And you go to a health food store. It wasn't a Sprouts, which we do business with, or a Vitamin Shop, which we do business with. These type of people, they weren't around, so they're very small stores. And I'd go around, and I would basically deal with the people that own the stores, and I wasn't an old guy. I was a young, good-looking guy with a body, and I had no trouble selling. And that's how it just grew from there. Then we came then with my dad with everything, with the Parkinson's and the heart condition. He says, "Son, why can't you make a product like that?" And I did a lot of research, and I found this equipment and had it refurbished, and that's what we do now. We make several million tablets every day.
And a lot of people do have trouble swallowing, even if they don't have anything with their health. I know from dealing with so many of my clients, some of them do okay. They swallow their vitamins, supplements, whatever. And others are like, I just can't do it. And some of these things are huge. And if you're taking multiple products like I am,
right,
it can be a thing in the morning going through all these capsules.
Well, it just dissolves in your mouth, and you just swallow it. It's so tiny. I mean, you can see how small it is. You can probably get on a penny, get 10 of them. All our tablets like that, and they're clean. And that's the thing. You're not getting the inactive ingredients that are just chemicals you don't need. It takes to manufacture. Just period. They even tablets. They put they call it a shellac, but it's sometimes food grade. But it's a shellac. The old time they used actually a shellac to make them go down easier.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking off camera a little bit about, you know, the importance of whole nutritious food. And what I see a lot of times, the women I work with, is they're kind of looking for what I call the magic bullet. Like they're trying to they want to get healthier, and they're looking for the one thing. And I always tell them, no, it's not one thing. It's all of the things. I do many things. One of them is supplements. One of them is bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. There's the exercise, nutrition, sleep. It's all of the lifestyle habits that make a difference.
You call it one. I mean, you're 100% right. You just got to take that first step. I think the real hard part for the females is breaking that sugar cycle.
Oh,
I think that's a real stinker.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
And get them going in the right program, and somebody complimenting them, and try to encourage them. You need to keep going, not give up. A lot of people, they give up gym memberships. They give up after 6 weeks. Sometimes or they buy some equipment at home. They end up throwing their clothes or hanging on it. But
so what do you think can motivate? Because I run into this a lot. I see it. Of course, we see it every year at New Year's. The gyms fill up, and then 6 weeks in, just like you said, it starts to dwindle down. What do you think is the catalyst to keep people
the real
going?
catalyst, if you have a husband or a partner or people close to you, that they're very supportive of you and not trying to pull you away from your regime. I mean, generally you pick a certain time of the day and you do your business, whether it's 12 o'clock, and not to be encouraging to you and caring about you. I think a loving, supporting people around you, whether it's husbands or friends or wherever. I think people don't talk about that. I think it's very important.
Very important.
They're on the same page with you. Gee, you're looking great, hon. What did you do? Or whatever. Even if you're bullshitting, it's good to hear it.
I do see this because I've worked in so many different situations, different ages of women at different stages of life. And if they have a partner that's in with them,
Right.
a friend, a husband, a sister, whatever, makes a huge difference.
Loves you a little bit,
Right. But if they have somebody that's jealous of their gym time, because I've seen that, what are you going to the gym and you're not here at home with me? Or they want them to eat a certain way. Like I've seen this, like the partner eats fast food, and the woman will tell me, well, it's really hard because my husband wants this. And I always tell them, you've got to want this really bad to the point that you tell that person, I'm doing this for me. And regardless of what you think.
Try to get them on board. I mean, you can make any of this, what I call it, health food. You can make it all taste good. I mean, you can make cardboard taste good now. There's no excuses. A lot. I think that sugar is the major problem.
I agree. When I did my first show, that was the hardest thing I had to break, was that sugar habit.
And I don't drink any fruit juices. I eat the whole fruit so I can get the fiber and so on and so forth. It doesn't have to be a real hard effort. Just eat good fresh food. And when you do get packaged foods, be careful and read the label, all the other ingredients, the serving size, the calories. I mean, you don't burn a lot of calories in the gym, to be honest with you, maybe 300 or so calories, or even an hour of cardio on a treadmill. You're not burning a lot of calories. So you do burn calories at rest and everything. But I think you can get all the food you want, probably, because I'm a big eater, about 1,800 calories. But I think you can do it less than that. And don't try to start. Diets don't work. You starve it down. You got to get something you're going to live with every day. Sure, you want to go have a glass of wine every day? No big deal. You want to have a cheat day every now and then. If you get 90% of it right, you're okay. You can have a cheat day and you won't put on no weight.
Oh, I agree. Like I travel, And this is something else I see. People will go off the rails. So they'll travel, they'll eat all the things, and then they come back home, and then that carries on, like it just keeps going. And for me, I just had a weekend in San Diego for my daughter's birthday, our daughter's birthday, enjoyed so many different things. I didn't eat crazy, but I enjoyed things that I don't normally eat. Come back home. That's it. I'm back on
Well,
schedule.
you can
No
have
big deal.
maybe if you have a birthday party, maybe you can have a piece of cake, but you can't be pounding that down every day.
No, it's going to add
Because you
up.
got it all right. When you start eating right and on a regular basis, your body comes to it, along with elimination, going to the bathroom, all these things add up. And it doesn't have to be dominate your life. You will improve and you can get your weight down. And I wouldn't be as much that concerned with my weight as how I look. Because everybody has,
Oh,
you have a girlfriend, maybe he's got bones like a bird, or then the other one has some pretty good bones on her, and she's not fat, but she's just a big girl. And they look at that scale, they're 165 pounds, and they're maybe 5'7", but they're not fat. So
right.
I would let that scale be your major play, because if you're very petite and got small bones, and even 5'5", you're only going to be a little over 100, 110 pounds probably. Don't let that scale make you crazy.
You hit on a really good point that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. Like we talk about the body fat percentage, skeletal muscle, but bone structure. And I have found that to be really true because I'm very fine boned.
So am
So
I.
if I weigh 100 and I'm almost 5'5", but if I weigh 130 pounds, I start looking not so great. My clothes don't fit the way I want. I feel much better at 120. I'm very petite and small boned. But
Correct.
then when I would go to the shows, we would always talk backstage at the bodybuilding shows, and there'd be somebody there that their walk around weight was 150 and they were the same height as me and they look great. And so, you really can't go by just that number on the scale. We're all very, very different.
Bone distress, especially in men, the size of your wrists, elbows, knees, the size of how big your arms are going to be. One of the great
Right.
builders is Frank Zane. I mean, he was wiping everybody. He only weighed 180 pounds, but he had, last time I saw an ankle like his, that had a message tied to it. I mean, a very small bone guy.
That's me. I have little ankles, little wrists.
Yeah,
That's me. Yeah. And
it can be in place, and you don't have to be a big muscle person for a guy to have a great body. As long as you're lean, and I wouldn't worry about what you weigh, your bone structure, even the size of your head, determines a lot. So I wouldn't let that scale be make you crazy. Just look in the mirror and be how you want to be. And everybody can improve at any age period, especially as you get older. You don't want to lose your bone mass, and that your muscles are all tied to all that. It's very important. And the protein and the hormones. Very few people talk about it. I've done many, many, many podcasts, and they don't get into the bioidenticals for the females or the testosterone for the men. The testosterone is good for the men, but you got to do the other things right to really get the most benefit out of it.
yes, listeners, I mean, what Ron just said is absolutely true. And I say this all the time. I consider with myself bioidentical is like the cherry on top.
A big
It's
check, really.
I've done all the other things and that's how I did it. I had made all of the lifestyle changes and then I went on hormone replacement and it worked
Right.
beautifully.
And I suggest you go to an oncologist. That's a person who does this stuff. It reads your blood. It's all in the blood. You get the blood work. You probably can get your insurance to cover it. You'll feel like a $1,000,000 guaranteed. And I'm going to touch on sex drive. It'll make your sex
Mm-hmm.
drive go off the charts, man. I'm not bragging, but I have an old guy like me. I have sex at least 4 times a week. I'm 80 years old. At least.
See, it's not over. And that's another myth out there, that people think, okay, you get older and your sex life is gone.
No, if you're sexually charged to start with, it'll stay with you. The problem is somebody can get sick or one of the partners blow up, going in 100 pounds, and they don't love them enough to stay to deal with it. And but I think for the women, those bioidentical hormones, you put a little testosterone, and you got a real winner on your hands.
Oh yeah.
And a
Yeah.
little,
And then keeping it
you're
balanced.
going to get dramatic results. Just have a little patience. You didn't get out of shape overnight.
I say that a lot to the clients that I work with because sometimes, it's natural. People want the quickest route. They want they want something to happen fast. And you're right. It didn't happen overnight. You're not going to take it back the other way overnight. It takes time and consistency. And for women over 50, it can take more time to get back in balance, especially as far as like the
They can get
insulin and
minutes,
hormones.
40 minutes of weight training in a little, this is pushing to the pretty much the max. And maybe some cardio and then really a really good everyday eating, you're going to get tremendous results, and you're only going to improve. My physique actually improved in my 50s the most. That's when I started the testosterone, and I stopped overtraining. That's a whole nother area of overtraining, and you get all that inflammation and tendonitis and all the stuff that goes with it. But it's a great lifestyle, and you go to the gym and let's say you go in at 12 o'clock, you meet the same people, and it's nice. They might only be your gym buddies, but it's a nice smiling face and a compliment.
It's a community.
Absolutely. It's a great, great lifestyle. Doesn't mean you got to give up everything. You take your vacations. You can have your toddy every night, or even, something you enjoy. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you don't have to clamp down on everything. But once you get most of it right, you can go out to nice dinners and have stuff, but you just can't be pounding it every day like that.
I agree. And if you get that protein in, what I have found, it's satiating, you're fuller. And if you're eating the whole foods, you're eating more food. Whereas if you're eating refined foods, sugary foods, a little small, candy bar or whatever, you've gone over your caloric goal. But the protein, it's satiating. And so it leaves less room for the junk. That's what I tell the ladies. Eat the protein.
You'll burn carbs first, fat. The last fuel is the protein. That's the last fuel that burns. That's your foundation. That's like building a house with a solid foundation. That's important.
Very important.
It used to be about a half a gram per pound, and now they're at a gram. But if you can get, like I say, if you can get whatever meal, 15, 20, 25 grams of everything you put in your mouth, and then whatever you want to eat, you want to have some vegetables. You got to watch how you handle them with a lot of, I find it too, I eat a little non-fat cottage cheese, non-fat yogurt, non-fat, with no sugar. No sugar. You can mix up your meals. I think I like to have a salad at least once a day, some fresh greens with a real light dressing.
I do the same.
Even a sour cream is like 3 calories on there.
Yeah, I do exactly the same. I'll have a little bit of Greek yogurt and I'll put some, whatever I want, strawberries, bananas. I might take a little bit of PB Fit powder and put that in there for flavor. And, I'm good to go. And that satisfies my sweet tooth.
They get a sugar craving, or it might be a fat craving. Like I'm going to mention Trader Joe's. I do business with them. That go get some of them. I mix up a bunch of nuts. You take a handful, and that after dinner's when you're full and you're hungry. Am I right?
Oh yeah,
the craving,
absolutely.
Sugar, or it's a fat craving. And if I take the nuts and it satisfies me, I know what it is, and I bite the whole if it's sugar. Or and you can actually eat a little bit every day of a chocolate with a 72% cocoa. It's got the flavonoids and is very low calorie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm big on that one. We have it in the fridge, and we'll have just like a little square.
Few squares of that, and it'll do you.
Now, Ron, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about strength training. You're 80 years old. You're in fantastic shape. For those of, this will be up on YouTube if you want to check it out. But for those of you listening, he is in fantastic shape.
Together, you and I.
Yeah, we do. What do you think about, does everyone have to lift heavy? Because I run into this a lot with women, but not, I talked to you about my back surgery and my issues. I can't do a heavy loaded back squat anymore. I have to be careful with a leg press.
Well, first of all, squat and leg press is done improperly. can really hurt you. A leg
Oh,
press,
yes.
really, if you don't get your butt in the bucket so you don't
Hmm.
roll up.
Exactly.
I found out to get training, the real people are really knowledgeable. It's not the weight, it's how long you hang on to the bar for about 12 reps. I call it a
Hmm.
slow squeeze and release. You're not one shot, everything's controlled all the way. You know,
So
all,
time under tension,
and
right?
as
You're just
long as
keeping
you
that
hang on to the
tension.
weight, you're going to use less weight. You're going to get a pump, and you're really going to feel it. It's better than a lot of people that lift heavy, maybe only once every 2 weeks. They don't get injured because when you train all the time, you're in an inflammation stage. Let's say you work your legs, you work your upper body, whatever it may be. You come back to your legs, your upper body is still getting work when you work your legs. It does indirectly.
Hmm. It does.
It does. And the inflammation in everything's on the rest and the feed. Everybody's different. I find the heavy bone people, not like you and I, can train more.
Yes.
I was training 6 days a week for decades. Went to five. I really improved when I went to 4 days on the rest and the feed, and I still got everything in. I worked all the body parts once a week. I think on the small bone people and the females, it'll just show its way.
I
And
agree. I
and
agree.
make sure when you're not taking too much, like 40 minutes, you should be able to get a real hard, good workout where you're breathing a little hard between exercise, maybe a minute rest. Whatever weight you can handle in proper form with you want to call it an isometric, that will really harden you down like crazy, male and females.
What
It
are your
kind
favorite exercises for people over 50, over 60, over 70?
basically, if you work your basic muscles, legs, chest, and back, everything else drags along with the arms.
It does.
Chest, you get your triceps. If you do back, you get your biceps. So, I mean, that basic, want to call it core, legs, chest, and back are your power muscles. And if you work those, everything gets pretty much a workout.
Yeah, all of the compound moves that are using
Right,
multiple joints,
right.
multiple muscle groups, you get the biggest bang for your buck. I agree with that. And more of an energy expenditure too,
And then as you
because you're
get
working
more
multiple muscle
advanced, you
groups.
start picking your weak sides out, where you basically are going to gain muscles the hardest part is to balance your body out. If you, let's say for me, for years, my pecs were huge because I did a lot of bench pressing. I actually
Mhm.
got it down smaller to balance my body out. Of small muscle groups, the deltoids and the arms don't need that much work because they get it every time you train. And be careful, don't overtraining is probably the worst thing in the world for you. It screwed
Oh,
me up really bad for
me too. Me too. I had such a tendency. I loved lifting, exercise, the pump
yeah.
so much. It was nothing for me to disappear in the gym for 2 hours.
No, that's wrong. It's a high. Well, I'll give you a perfect example. If you got a headache, you take 2 aspirin. You don't need 10.
Right.
You got to be able to say, I've done enough for this day. And you don't want to leave the gym spent where you're exhausted. That happens now and then when you're spent. I mean,
Oh, yeah. I know
that's not
exactly what you
good.
mean.
That's not good. That means you've overtrained. So you got to kind of and it's hard to control that because you feel so good and you get crazy. You keep going and going and going and you're overtrained. Uh, that's something you got to be careful with, especially when you're at it for decades and decades. Your body knows what it wants, what it'll take, and just know where the break point is. Enough is enough. I got what I need. I don't need to want to do an extra 5 sets per body part or 10 or whatever because you feel great. Then you get a little sore or tendonitis. Then you maybe even a little sore coming in the next workout or even a little fatigue the muscle. You want to. It's just a hard line there.
It
Very
is a hard line. And then the cortisol goes up, which then can cause that kind of, I know on me would make me look kind of watery or puffy, especially when I was a runner, because I started out my fitness journey really on the running side of
right.
things.
And
And
you're wise.
yeah, I still have to watch that mentality because it's this marathon runner kind of mentality
I
of
don't like.
more is better.
I personally don't think. I think there's other ways to get fit besides go pounding on the cement. And
Agreed.
another one you got to be watch out. I hate to say it is this golf, the torquing of one side. You'll lose your knees, your hips, your
Yes.
shoulders. And if you are a golfer, I suggest whatever hand you're torquing with, maybe do about 20 reps before you start on the other side a little bit to kind of balance you out. Because it's a one-sided sport.
Yes.
Torquing.
Yes.
Sit on the other side. Just swing it maybe 20, 30 times to kind of balance yourself out a little bit. All these little things, you learn as you go and what works the best.
Yeah,
Overtraining
because
is a killer.
absolutely. And with so many of these sports, like you mentioned the golf, because I used to personal train
Right.
people from all different ages, both genders, and the different sports they would do. And I would see tennis players come in, and so I would try to correct imbalances
Right.
there. But the golfers, the back problems
Oh, yeah.
that I saw from the continual twisting. Yes.
It's called a torquing. It can go from your ankles to your knees, to your hips, to your shoulders, to your neck. It can really mess you up because it's a one-sided sport.
Right. You're using one side of the body. Agreed 100%. Now, in all the decades you've trained, have you hit times where has your motivation ever waned? Have you hit like a very difficult time with an injury or something that you really had to use your mindset to get
Injuries
past?
are the real problem. I face this right now. My torn quadricep and my shoulder. If you can afford it, some good chiropractic treatment, massages. Get in there and break up the scar tissue. Get blood is a healer. You want blood. If you put blood in an area through a massage, it will heal. You got to. It's not cheap. Anybody starting out, I would really, really suggest to get a good quality trainer. Make sure they don't put you on the treadmill. You can do that on your own. They're not putzing around with the phone. They're really putting their attention on you. I don't know what a trainer is in New Mexico, but I know what they cost here. They're about $150 an hour to $200 an hour in LA.
Wow. Yeah, we're less expensive than that
Yeah,
here.
they're worth their weight in the gold. They should really be able to help you with your eating process. If you don't quite get it or figure it out, you can go to nutritionists. But if you eat fresh food, just fresh, you can eat all the hell you want.
Now, if somebody is
Organic.
just getting started, do you suggest because I always think it's best to address one habit at a time because people get really overwhelmed. I think that's the trouble with January 1st. It's like, I'm going to run and do yoga and strength train and get up at 4 a.m. and then it doesn't last.
No, it lasts about a few. It's
A
just
few weeks at most.
It's something you can be like a little. I call you and I a little fanatical. I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
That is life to me. If you just want to get yourself, where you can fit into a nice dress, get a little tone, that is 100% doable without a Herculean effort. Even with 20 minutes of exercise, not walking.
Right.
That's
Agreed.
nothing. Whatever you choose to do, you will get results. With some toning or strength training, it'll get better. But without a lot and you can really, 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 really improve. Especially the females, they can lose a ton of weight.
Should they start with nutrition or should they start with the strength training?
No, the eating. You got to I see you could see people in the gym been there for years, no change, no nothing.
Yes.
Then we start talking. So I eat really well, and I said, we start talking about it. And I just start shaking my head.
Oh yeah.
The concept is eating well is not the same as you and I, and you don't have to be. Everybody eats meat. Everybody eats chicken. Everybody eats fruit. Everybody eats potato, pasta. How do you treat it? How do you doctor it up? Get the crap out of there, and you'll just be fine. And get that sugar. You can have a cheat day. Once you get everything in control, there's not a problem. And it's not. Yeah. It just everybody at a certain level, but 20 minutes a day, eating properly. And it's not even that expensive. I mean, I eat a lot of tuna, I eat sardines and stuff like that. But everybody eats meat, chicken, everything's hot. I mean, are you going to fry the chicken or are you going to baste it in all kinds of blue cheese dressing, a steak? It's got 1 billion calories in there.
Butter.
Butter's not the worst thing in the world.
A little bit, but not a.
Over a saturated fat mayonnaise. Or like when you eat tortillas, eat the corn, not the other, because they're made out of lard.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I eat corn or a cassava, something like that.
Right. I mean, those little bit of tricks of the trade will make a huge difference for you. And get that
Oh,
heat
that's terrible.
down. And if you do a minimal exercise, you're going to get great results. The women, I call it the bingo arms, the flabby triceps.
Yes.
You can get all that tightened up.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah,
not
a lot of times it's just putting on that muscle.
right.
Women think, "Oh, it's losing fat." And I'm like, "No, you've got some loose skin. You're getting old. Put the muscle on."
Can and keep your bones. And I'm opposed to Ozempics. I'd rather see you get your staple, get gastric surgery instead. I don't know what the long term of that Ozempic is. It's got to be. I don't think it's good. People,
I
that's the big deal, big stink. Now they're losing weight like crazy, but it's not the right approach. Approach that you do is the right approach, and it works. You lose a couple pounds a week at the most, and you're losing 8, 9, 10 pounds a month. Don't panic. It'll come. Then you'll get a set point, and that'll probably be it unless you really go to the next level with it. And don't try to go on
Slower
a
is better.
starvation diet,
I agree.
800-calorie diet, starvation diet. You come out, you blow up like a balloon. Something you can just live with. Probably a 1,500-calorie diet wouldn't be too difficult. You could pretty much eat as much as you want, as long as you stay away from the crap.
Yeah, my deal with the Ozempic is people are just getting the injections, but they're not getting any health consultation. They're not getting any nutritional advice or strength training. I recently met a woman. She lost 90 on it, then got an injury to her foot, had surgery, and put on 95 pounds in 3 months. And I would guess, I don't know her whole story, but I would guess she did no strength training, never changed the way she ate. So when she had that surgery, went off of the shot, had the surgery, she had lost probably a good part of that 90 pounds was muscle. She lowered her metabolism
I don't
doing
know.
so.
A lot of women I find don't like the gym or strength training. I think to lose the weight and stay in somewhat relatively good shape or keep your weight, I think any form of exercise, I mean, the yoga, Pilates, any that's good. And if you want to take it to the next level, bands and the weights, you can get reasonably, really improved tremendously without the strength training. I think it's the way to go for the final deal.
I
But
agree. Strength training is queen,
not
king.
for everybody. A lot of sweat, go to the gym and change and all that stuff. Something they can do at home, get away from the kids a little bit. Hey, they might have to wake up a half hour to give that half hour to themselves. Whatever the hell you want to do is good.
Right.
And
I plan mine. It's in my all my workouts are in the phone
I
set
mean,
with a time.
you're at the highest level there is. Not everybody's going to do this. You're special. It's not for everybody. You're at the 1% or 10%. I'm looking at the other 90 that they're overweight. They want to feel good about themselves. They want to fit into
Right.
nice dresses. They want to be attractive to their loved ones. That is 100% doable with not a real big, hard effort. No, get in your car. The time you go to the car, you drive the gym, you clean up, come back. All of a sudden, it's 2 hours is gone pretty much. They don't have the time.
Right.
And I mean, what you do and I do, I love, but it's not for every. Otherwise, it'd be a gym on every corner like there is a McDonald's. It's just not. So, got to make something work. And I'm looking to get that first step. And once they get past, if they want to take that next level where we're at, that's another deal. But just to get them to start loving themselves and taking care of themselves and a good support system, that's where the action
I
is.
see a lot of women, you talked at the beginning of the podcast and we talked off camera about, they're caretakers. And the problem that I see is starting in their 40s, a lot of times, maybe they're taking care of aging parents. They've got teenagers and they've got a job and a husband and they're just sandwiched. They're caught between the generations as caretakers. And then they hit their 50s and I meet a lot of women that they're working a high stress job and taking care of a parent. And of course, I took care of my parents, both my husband and I did. No regrets there, but they'll sacrifice their health. And then they come out the other side of that. And it's like, oh, wow, what happened? I lost myself along the way.
Their wealth too. They get hooked. These kids now, they'd rather have, or even a lot of people rather have things then take care of yourself. Everybody's probably going to live about the same age. Are you going to be virile at 50, 60, 70, 80? Are you going to have a great sex life? Or are you just going to have things and muddle
Right.
along and, okay, yeah. You don't want to be chasing around doctors when you're older.
No.
No.
Now, heading back to the supplements, what do you think are the most important ones for specifically a woman to take, say, past 50, past menopause?
I think first of all, I would go get my blood checked and see if I was deficient in any vitamins. Everybody's got insurance. It's not going to cost you nothing. Read that. Probably vitamin D and a multivitamin, I would say a basic. Then start dealing if you have issues, maybe a little, let's say losing a little bone mass, step on the collagen a little bit. Our beauty collagen, which you can, get on Amazon or Walmart or anywhere online or Sprouts or almost any health food store. Then I would go to, let's say you have a little bit of a heart problem, or maybe a good fish oil. I like the liquid myself personally, but the capsules are good. With the women, I think that would cover it pretty much. And then if you want to build a little more muscle, like we're discussing, a good whey protein, a good pea protein, we put out a keto protein, which is very good. And we sell quite a bit of it. It has collagen, MCT, coconut, very good.
Now, what about the creatine you were telling me about earlier?
Creatine is the most studied supplement in history. It's used mainly to build muscle and recovery. Now we've come up with a product called HMB, and I'll read you the ingredients because they're very hard to pronounce what HMB really is. It's calcium hydroxy, beta methyl hydrate, and monohydrate. We use a creatine, 5 grams of that and 3 grams of the HMB. And I've been taking it myself. I think it's very effective. You can throw it in your drinks. It doesn't taste bad. You can put it in a powder. That would be a good supplement too.
And how much should the women take? Maybe half that dose of the
No,
creatine, or full dose?
Full dose. It's only, the whole thing is only 8 grams. It's a powder. It's not much.
Mm-hmm.
Like protein powders is 35, 40 grams to get 25 grams, and they got some other stuff in there.
Yeah, I do like the creatine for the studies that have come out on brain health, which have been really interesting there, and helping, because women are so more vulnerable, I should say, to cognitive decline, especially once they lose estrogen and that protection of estrogen. They can be more vulnerable to, say, dementia and some of the cognitive diseases.
Bioidentical hormones. I mean, a lot of people have never even heard of them, but I mean, it's just like driving a car with your eyes closed. I mean, I think you got to know where you're going. I mean, the blood tells you everything. If you got insurance, you get the blood pulled and just read it.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big believer in that. I do Boston Heart twice a year, just because they give you a full-on panel. And then I'll test the hormones more frequently, like every 3 months or so. I keep up with the thyroid, all of my levels. Yeah, thyroid that becomes quite a thing for women.
Big issue. Big issue. Now it's even come with some men. The population, I've noticed in the last 30 years, I mean, is much heavier, overweight. And it's just because the people they want things, and they rather eat the junk food. It doesn't matter. You can go to a McDonald's before all these inflation. You could get a meal for a day eat for $5-6, and get a lot of calories. And they'd rather have their things, cell phones and yada 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 yada.
Yeah, and the quick food. But my son served in the Navy. He just got out after 5 years. He was stationed in Japan on the USS Reagan. And he said the first thing he noticed coming back here to live now, he said, I have so many more digestive issues if I try to eat out here in the States. That he said in Japan, the food was a lot more pure, I guess. It didn't have the...
Europe is where they got a tremendous standard. A lot of the stuff we will not even be allowed in Europe. Many products. It's funny when you mention that. If you look at prostate cancer in men, a lot of it's associated to a fatty diet, but then you go to Mexico where they use tomatoes, which is lycopene in there.
Yes.
That
Mm-hmm.
helps with that. And then you go over to Japan, they don't have those problems, but they eat a lot of this pickled stuff, and they tend to get a little more stomach cancer there.
Mm.
Food related. If you eat a good fresh diet, not a diet, eat good fresh food, you just can't go wrong. It'll serve you. Eat foods that'll serve your body. And you can have cheat day. You can have some. You could have a glass of wine every day, or even a drink. No big deal. No big
It's really a lifestyle. I
deal.
tell my clients that it's got to be doable. And like what I did for bodybuilding shows, okay, that's not for a long-term strategy.
Right.
I can't do that. I can't have my body fat that low.
It's not healthy.
No, no, it's not. And I remember my hunger hormones went insane after shows. We're just so imbalanced. But you can find that balance where you can be fit. You can
There's a
have
balance. 20 minutes a day in good eating, you're going to get dramatic results. You want to take it to the next level? Great. 20, 30 minutes, you are going to, and you eat right. Besides losing the weight, you'll feel good. You'll probably get more toned. And it's not a lot of time. You just got to give
mhm.
yourself that, let's say 30 minutes, maybe first thing in the morning, and eat properly. You're on the right track, man. It'll happen. I guarantee it. But everybody.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency
A little,
trumps perfection.
and a little bit of discipline. It'll
Hmm.
be tough.
Hmm.
A little bit of discipline.
Absolutely.
But I was,
Well, Ron, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, having this conversation with you. As we start to wrap up, was there something I didn't ask you that you want the listeners to know? And how can they learn more about Superior Source, more about your work?
uh, I do a lot of, we're on Facebook a lot. Our conversation will probably end up on Facebook, I imagine. Uh, to buy our products pretty much at almost any health food store or online, Walmart, Amazon. We're not a pricey because we manufacture everything. Most of our stuff's $10, $11, $12, which is not pricey. And we got a lot of nice products for everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, Ron. It's just been a pleasure. And thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, you have your
And
smile. Look at that.
oh, thank you. And to our listeners, wherever you are in the world, we wish you every blessing. Bye for now.